Welcome back to Collective Perspective. It's episode 64. And naturally, we have to talk about N64 again. It is the 64th episode. Um, that console sucks, and it's not
That's the
collectible,
episode.
and that'll do it. We'll see you guys later.
As you all know, the N64 is Christian's favorite console of all time.
I
He
feel
has
like,
bought the full set twice, complete in box. One sealed, one unsealed.
just so y'all know, Craig actually did have the set for this console. He is a real collector.
That's true. I am an N64 war veteran, as they say. I
I
was in the trenches.
I don't hate the N64. I grew up with the N64, but I'm just not as obsessed with it as everybody else is my age. I'm a Super Nintendo guy. It was my first console. It's a cool console, but the library a little bit lacking. We've already roasted it enough. We've already discussed it in the past episodes.
Yes.
But I kind of want to talk about past, present, and future. Just kind of do like a state of the N64, where it's going, will it stand the test of time kind of episode. So let's go in order here. Let's talk about the past a little bit. Historically, I think that this console is like if NES is the most collected console, like with all the old heads, all the Nintendo age people, I mean, N64 has got to be second. It's got to be the second most researched, if not the first most researched console. And it's just because it's a combination of holy crap, it's so easy. There's only 296 games, and holy crap, I grew up with this console. I love it so much. It's amazing. I love Banjo-Kazooie. Like that combination has just culminated into this library of games that people just love to research and own everything for.
Yeah, it has a lot going for it, especially like you said, the small size makes it very appetizing for people, especially if you're either new to collecting or if you're someone that loves the idea of getting a full set of games. What's one of the sets people always, try to full set? What's one of the ones you see the most often, if not possibly the most often, is N64. Because, yes, it has a handful of very pricey games, and overall the games are pricier now, I guess, than they've ever been, just because all games are. But for the most part, for a long time, very, very affordable library, with the exception of 2 or 3 games. It has a lot of Nintendo staples, your Marios, your Zeldas, your Mario Karts, some Yoshi, some Donkey Kong, all these different things. And even though there's a lot of slop on the console, like every other console, because it's such a small library, it has less slop. So it's just more appealing, pretty much from any angle for the most part, especially if you're into older games. And it was the first 3D Nintendo console, so it had something special going there. It's like you could never be the first 3D Nintendo console after it's been done once, so it's always going to be the transition to 3D that gave us stuff like Ocarina of Time and Mario 64 that set the standards for those series going forward that people still love to this day.
It's the last console with cardboard. That's a big deal for collectors. It looks great on a shelf. It's got very historically important games. It does have a lot going for it. You're right.
Yeah, the cardboard's a great point too. Cardboard will always be cooler, just in general, than a DVD case. So it's cooler looking. It's harder to get in good condition, which can give for more premium prices. All that fun stuff.
You mentioned slop. I think a lot of it was more accepted. I think that a lot of the sports titles were, I think someone would so much rather have a loose Madden 99 than a CIB. Like, you see any PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Madden, FIFA, anything, and you're just like immediately turned off. I think that I think that people had a lot of fond memories playing. I mean, it's not to say that people didn't play Madden in the 2000s, but I think that I don't know what I'm trying to say. It just feels like more memorable stuff came out of the sports games from the 90s. I mean,
especially think about the wrestling games.
That's very true. But the licenses for like NFL, NBA, like they weren't restricted to EA at that point. You still had competitors. You still had other people making sports games.
Yeah, there's more variety. There's the Blitz games. There's the quarterback club. There's the Madden. There's multiple options.
Yeah.
Then compared to now, where it's all just based off of who has the license to make the games. Because people care about having the names of real players and different things like that.
People love those Acclaim wrestling games, though. That's a great point.
Yeah, and the N64 ones in particular are always the most highly regarded amongst like big wrestling game fans. So that's like the era of wrestling games for people.
I think that's like the era of wrestling as well. I'm not a wrestling
That's
guy.
also true.
Please don't attack me. But, um, yeah, like being Craig and I's age, we are just surrounded by people that were like obsessed with N64 and still are. I think 5 years above us and 5 years below us. It's just people that just freaking Mario 64 this, Banjo Kazooie that, and Ocarina of Time's the greatest game ever made. It's just people love it, and that's great. That's awesome. But it is kind of repetitive. It kind of turns me off from collecting for the console. Um, I just kind of want the important titles and then never to collect another N64 game in my life. Like I just am really not big on the N64.
Yeah, and I think part of that's because I feel like there isn't really discoverability because
True.
the library is so small. Like very rarely does somebody show you an N64 game that you haven't heard of before. Like that could still happen even with like the GameCube with 558 titles because that's almost what 260 70ish more titles that
Yeah.
there's much more chance of like, oh, you never heard of this weird platformer. Plus the N64 where it's like Chameleon Twist, like that hasn't been niched for 2 decades.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no hidden gems and there's no hidden collectible stuff. You're so right. And that's a good segue into like the present era of where we are now. There is nothing unresearched on this console. I'm
Yeah, no
literally
surprises, nothing you can't look up.
there's 1,000 PS1 games. If I go on Instagram right now, I'm gonna scroll down Instagram and find a PS1 game I've never freaking heard of or seen in my life. It's the same era, and I've been studying this crap for like a decade of my life. Like I look at this stuff daily, and I still am just like blown away when I find another PS1 game, and then I go look it up, and I'm like, oh, this has got to be rare. It's like a $10 game. It's just there's so much crap, and it's cool to me to. Yeah, you that's a great point because like literally this channel, Bird Dog Gaming, has become like this channel where I just look up all this rare and weird stuff that no one cares about, and that is so not N64 at all. Everything has been discovered.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's the anti of what your channel is because there's not really much. Every variant is known.
Yeah,
All the games that are considered rare and are common are known and agreed upon. Like there isn't really even much debate,
yeah,
on what the harder N64 games are to find. The games that are considered good/worth owning, everybody kind of agrees on. There's just it's been researched so heavily that there's nothing else to learn about it really, which is kind of sad in a way. I mean, if it's your favorite console, more power to you. Of course, there's no hate in here, but it's like it's not like even GameCube not that far away where I have buddies where we're still finding variants once in a while and texting them to each other where it's like, how does no one even know that this exists after all these years still? And stuff like that just doesn't happen on a console like the N64.
people. I mean, it's such a small library, and people are so obsessed with the console that they'll go for every Funtastic Edition console. They'll go for every controller variants. They'll start getting the NFRs, that not for resales, for the cartridges, because that's a small subset.
Yeah, like people start getting into the nitty gritty of variants and hardware and stuff very quickly because, if you're a hardcore N64 collector, that's something that you can finish in a reasonably small amount of time compared to other libraries.
Yeah. So if you don't like things where you have to get the work done, where you have to go research, you just want a console that's already been researched, this is the one for you.
Sure, N64, just about probably any question you could have, you'll find an answer for online.
There's probably some appeal to that if you're a new collector and you're just like, you're coming from another hobby where like all these grading companies have already got the research done, if you're like, you don't want, a lot of people don't want to do the legwork. A lot of people don't want to scour
No,
eBay for
they
hours.
just want to, they just want to spend the money to have the thing and be done.
Yeah.
They don't want to look it up.
So that could totally be appealing to someone,
Yeah, I could totally see that too.
Interesting. Prices in general, Craig. You got price charting pulled up. I do as well. CIB,
Yeah.
obviously, cardboard degrading, and it's going up. It obviously 2021 was a huge spike for the entire hobby, but like it didn't last. You got your 2023 graph where it is way low. Kind of popped back up a lot in 2023, and it's been pretty reasonable for the last, I would say, 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, the average loose game 32.74. So, and really a lot of that is weighted by like Sculptor's Cut because
That's CIB.
$1,000. So.
Oh, is that loose?
That is loose. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're okay. I'm looking at loose at least.
Oh, just disregard everything I just said. Wow.
Oh no, but like like I said, it's mostly like like you look at like Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, you look at like Super Bowling, 500 or 455. So it's like a couple of those stragglers are really bringing up the average overall. I'd say if the average game is $20, that's still fairly, if you like exclude those ones that kind of skew the graph, $20 probably on average for a game, still fairly reasonable for the most part.
And the good games that you want, they sold millions. I mean, you're gonna pay $25 for a copy of Mario 64 until the end of time, and that's true for a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you're thinking of just like the popular stuff, probably the most you're gonna spend is like $65 on like Pokemon Stadium 2 or something. And I don't even have that pulled up. I'm just guessing the price.
Yeah.
But the really Conker's Bad Fur Day 110. So there's a couple here and there, but for the most part, most of the games you're gonna want aren't gonna be that expensive. So.
And that's loose. Complete. Obviously, you're gonna play premium. You're gonna look for something that has all the inserts. You're gonna look for something that has good sharp corners or edges if you care about that.
You know what? I wish we were doing an episode Guess the Price because Pokemon Stadium 2 is $66.25. I would have been very close.
I would not have gone that high for that. Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to mention?
Not really. I mean, I think overall prices are probably going to continue to climb, which, could be considered unfortunate, but that's probably going to be for most consoles and most games. But if you love the idea of set collecting, this is of course going to be a big recommend because it's doable for the most part. Besides a couple of those very expensive games, but in general, if you're a Nintendo fan, you got a lot of the big boys on here: Kirby, Zelda, Mario. So there's a lot appealing to this. Even though we give the console a lot of crap, it was my childhood console. That was my first console growing up. Always has a special place in my heart, and I do actually like it quite a lot still, despite all of my criticisms of it. And there's, it's a pretty good console with some pretty good games. So
I wasn't ending the episode when I asked if you had anything else. I was just talking about the prices.
There we go. Well, there's my thoughts regardless.
I had something good to say. Okay, so I think that like the price of the console, of the loose cartridges, probably gonna steadily decrease. I think we probably hit the peak, and that's in general. We're obviously saying in general here. I think the cartridges are unbelievably prevalent. You can get them. You'll always be able to get them. The cardboard is where the stuff is just gonna keep going up, and as people start to run out of sealed copies of things, you're gonna find people starting to pay even more of a premium than they already do for the crispy, minty CIB stuff.
And N64 cardboard is so flimsy too, so it's very hard to find N64 games in good condition. So if you want to have good condition games, you're probably gonna have to pay up anyway. Like I wouldn't trust price charting prices at all for that. You're definitely gonna be paying by condition.
I think you said GameCube, but we're not talking about the GameCube here, so everyone knows.
My bad. N64. My
The
bad.
Yeah, I mean Mario 64. It kind of just shocks me how still inexpensive that game is complete. I mean, it's like $100 for a pretty darn good condition copy. With all the inserts, like non-player's choice, like there's so many. Um, you can get it. It's just there. It's ready for you to buy it now. You don't even have to wait for an auction. There's just so
Yeah,
many.
it's always gonna be around.
Um, I'm still working on getting on my like complete important games. I've got the collector's edition of Zelda Ocarina. I've got the Mario 64 complete, but there are quite a few I'm still missing, and I would say don't wait on it. Honestly, if you're out there and you're gonna get some CIBs one day, don't wait on it. They're not getting any cheaper.
Yeah, if you're going for loose carts, I don't think you have much to worry about. But I agree, if you're going for CIB, might be better not to wait if you have the option.
I'm gonna say set not worth it to get complete. If you're going for the set, it's probably a loose set type of set at this point in the game. Um,
Yeah, good luck finding a complete in box sculptor's cut. Unfortunately, stuff like that is just way too few and far between going around. So
a new sealed one was just discovered by Heritage Auctions.
I know I'm very excited to see what happens to that. It's gonna be very interesting because I think that's only like the second or third one known to exist. It's something
Yeah, that's
insane
what I
like
heard.
that.
Are the rare games established knowledge?
I think so. Yeah,
Everything is established knowledge on this platform.
pretty much.
Tell me off the top of the dome, or you can use price charting since you have it open. What are they? What are like the known? I don't want rare. Give me the expensive games. There's nothing rare on this console.
Yeah, Clay Fighter, Stunt Racer, Super Bowling. What else we got? We got I already said Super Bowling, Stunt Racer, Worms Armageddon,
Bomberman.
Bomberman. Yeah, Second Attack. Um,
Rat
and
Attack.
really that's kind of it. Rat Attack. Let's see, Rat Attack. Unless I scrolled by it, I know that is definitely one of the more hard to find games, but I don't think it's that expensive now. It's under $100. It looks like.
Loose.
Yeah, I assume most people collect loose. So I'm sorry. That's what I'm basing it off of. Transformers Beast Wars.
Oh yeah.
Duck Dodgers is $107. PGA European Tour $101. NFL Blitz Special Edition 96. So
What's up with Duck Dodgers?
I don't know. That's always just been a hard one to find.
Hmm.
It wasn't that expensive for a very long time, but I think it's one of those things that people just started to catch on after a while. Like, oh, there's not ever really many for sale. That was definitely one of the hardest ones for me to find when I went for the set.
Do you think it's still popular to go for the N64 set?
Yeah, like I think that and Wii U were always gonna be people's go-tos if they're like, I want to complete a set because they're Nintendo and they're small. So it's just based off of those two things is enough for people to, I think, decide that that's something they want to go for.
Yeah, in terms of like set collecting, I'd say it's definitely popular. Set collecting in
And
general,
I think
not.
N64 is the most popular console to full set. That or Wii U, it kind of depends. But I feel like I see N64 more than Wii U, honestly.
The Wii U, I think, is just so because people are so focused on like I want to own things I actually want to play. They don't want the Wii U. They don't want the Wii U set. Like it's 160 games where 150 of them have been ported somewhere else. And the N64 has a ton of games that can be played everywhere else, but there's so much good stuff on that console that people they're happy to own it. They're happy
Yeah,
to
for nostalgia reasons or whatever else.
yeah. So I think we agree on that. Um, what games will stand the test of time for collectability? Let's talk like 50 years down the road. Maybe 50's kind of far. 25 to 30 years down the road. It's 2050 is the year. 2050.
Every
Is
first-party
anyone gonna want
Nintendo game.
Sculptor's Cut?
I think so, yeah. I think Sculptor's Cut is very infamous because of its blockbuster exclusivity and just for always have being expensive. Before games were expensive like they are now, that game was always considered
Yeah.
expensive. Like that was always like, couple $100 more or less. When every N64 game was $5, that game was still like 150. So I
Right.
think that game will always just have a lineage to it, to where it's always going to be like the crown jewel of the N64 set. I don't think that that'll ever change. So I think that, and just all the first party Nintendo stuff. Everything else, maybe not, but Sculptor's Cut will always be the crown jewel. I think that'll never change. That one will continue to go up and up and up, I think probably forever. It'll still fluctuate like all very expensive games do, but that's always going to be the head honcho. So
I think CIB absolutely. I think loose that the price is just only coming down from here for that thing.
you think so?
I think the
Let's
demand
see.
has to
Let
be
me pull up
going
a chart.
down.
Let's see. So it peaked in 2022 at 1,367. Right now, sitting at 910. So it is on the down, but it's still at since 2021 has been above $900. So who knows?
Should have sold mine for $1,367. That's insane.
I know, right? I practically gave mine away compared to that.
I don't think anybody is going to care about most of these loose. You're absolutely right about the first party stuff. It'll always stand the test of time on any console. The the rare stuff, the rareware stuff, sorry, is also up there. I think people will always love the first Banjo, and I don't know. A loose
GoldenEye,
cart for
Conkers.
Conker is probably going to keep coming down. I mean, I already said loose carts coming down for everything. I think that is very true. But yeah, I mean, can you imagine prices in 25 years for cardboard anything? It's going to be insane. Yeah,
And really, that could drive up the cartridge prices too, because people are gonna be like, "Oh well, I can't afford that, so I'll just go for the loose cart,"
that's a
and
very
then
good
there'll be
point.
more demand for that. So
Nobody's going to be collecting sets in 25 years.
I don't know.
Can we get to a point where like garbage games are in dollar bins like dollar comics? I just want that
Yeah,
so
can we-
bad. I
yeah,
want
can
all
we
the
bring
garbage.
that back? Can you bring back the free bin?
I want that so bad.
Yeah, it's like any game store you go to now, it's like you could find like the N64 sports games for $1, $2. It's like that doesn't even exist anymore. So
Yeah.
everything's worth something now. Dang it.
I don't know if I have much more to say about the N64. Truthfully, the consoles are gorgeous. I think that they will. I could see the consoles standing the test of time.
All the different colors, yeah.
Obviously complete, but even loose. I think that people will probably. That's probably a safe bet for hardware in general. These things are going to keep dying as the years go on. Cartridges probably last until the freaking sun crashes into the earth. Those things are bricks, and they're never going to stop working.
True.
But the consoles are going to stop working. I'm sure we're going to find out in 10 years that there's something inside the PCB that's
Gonna make it
decaying.
blow up in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, Nintendo actually installed this bomb inside of every N64 console.
Well, that's like, people always talk about, like, check your PSPs, because the batteries then were going to blow up, and I always thought that was really funny, because I thought people were joking. And
Yeah.
then a couple weeks ago, I found my PSP in my closet, and lo and behold, the battery was like, like a pillow. I was like, oh my god.
It's very strange, yeah. Yeah, I guess you already gave your final thoughts.
Yeah, sorry about that. I misunderstood the assignment
you're
in the
good.
moment, but shout out to the N64. We give you a lot of crap, but we still love you, at least a little bit. Or at least I do. I don't want to speak for you, so...
Most collectible game that you can buy that people aren't talking about. Go get your first appearance of Waluigi right now. Mario Tennis, go buy it.
Woo!
I don't know. I guess that would have been a good spot to end it. I appreciate you guys listening to
I
another
thought you were going to
episode.
end it.
yeah, go listen to Generations Behind, Craig's podcast. They're 12 episodes deep as of today. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next month for a couple more.
Hell yeah. Take care.